Hey, this is Russ. Yeah, I'm back out on the road again. What am I riding today? Well, it's yellow. It's a step through. It's got 20-inch tires. It's the Deere Step Through 20. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't ridden this bike since the Bike to Drive event. So I figured I'd give it out, take it out for another ride. It's been a while. So nowhere in particular again today, just going out for a ride. It is expected to rain a little bit later. You know, it's been raining for the last several days, and I think that's typical, I guess, of this time of the year, so I can't really complain, but sure, it's cutting into my time. So I end up waiting to ride. I usually don't ride until I see that temperature hit around 70 degrees. It's about 71 degrees right now. And yeah, let's take a ride on the path over here. Yeah, so as I'm facing this direction, I'm looking at the sky. It is kind of dark. Yeah, it's kind of dark gray. So yeah, it's gonna rain. Yeah, we already know it. Got to get my rides in while I can get them in there. I think it'll probably rain within the next hour or two. So we got a certain amount of time we can spend out on the bike, but then we got to go back inside. Yeah. So what's been new? Well, I reported yesterday that one of the bikes that I was expected to come in had not come in yet. And I wasn't going to contact the company about it. I figured I'd just sit and wait. Well, I decided to contact them and said, hey, where's this bike? You know? And the only reason I decided to contact them is because I know that the weather is going to get worse. And so, as you know, I typically ask some of the companies now to give me a secondary battery so I can ride farther out. And apparently, the additional batteries aren't available as of yet. It won't be available till like end of October. Typically, I think what they do is that, you know, when the companies make these bikes and then they get batteries for them, they put them all on the bikes first. I mean, otherwise they can't sell the bike. I mean, if you can't sell the bike with no battery, so they go on the bikes first, and then anything left over becomes batteries that they will sell, and then maybe they order some additional batteries, you know, for sale, for secondary batteries for people too. But I said, end of October. That just reminded me so much of last year. Last year, bikes were coming out like at the end of October and things. But you know, here in the Chicago area, as we get closer to those dates, the weather gets worse and worse. It's going to get colder and colder, and I may not want to go out. So they said, could you wait until that time? And I says, well, if it's all okay with you guys, send me the bike first and then send me the battery later, the secondary battery later. I could at least still do my preliminary tests of the bike and then do the review of the bike before that time. And that way the review gets out, and you know, I can deal with the secondary battery stuff going farther on another time. But at least the review is taken care of then. So we'll see if they end up doing that, or if they still would rather ship both things exactly at the same time. But I think it's better for everybody if they just kind of send the bike first. And we'll deal with that other one later. So that's where we're at with that. If all goes well and they respond back well with it, then we should be getting another bike coming in within a week or so. Week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that at the worst case. Oh, all these squirrels are crossing the road. Yeah, so anyway, this Deere 20, we'll just call it the Deere 20. We all know it's a step through at the 20. we're at about 80% battery power. I took it out once before to do some testing of something, I don't remember what, right after the Bike to Drive event, and then I did not recharge that battery, and so I just kind of threw it up on there, and I said, well, it's okay, I can always charge it up before I take it out, but of course I didn't do that. So we're down to 80% already before even taking the bike out anywhere. But I was reminded by our subscriber John, he says, are you getting ready to do the 75% discharge on your batteries yet? Yeah. Yeah, good idea, John. I need to start doing that. Otherwise, we're going to run into that whole big rush as we did last year. Last year, I was taking bikes out constantly just to drop them 25%, to bring them to the 75% level in preparation for winter. You know, we got some time still. I mean, I'll still be riding into probably into December as long as the weather doesn't get too cold. I said that I will ride probably until it hits 50 degrees. You know, it's not the temperature of 50 degrees that cuts you. It's the wind that blows into you when you're riding forward. That's what gets you. So I usually say 50 degrees, and then with the wind chill that hits me, you know, that's going to be below 50 as you're riding forward. So I got some time, but there's no sense in having to wait to the tail end of it to do that. And keep in mind too, I have a lot of batteries now, because many of my manufacturers have given me secondary batteries. Well, I got to bring those things down too. I can't just leave them all up there. So really, one bike now requires 2 rides to bring those 2 batteries to 75%. So let's talk about this 75% business. Many of you guys know about it, and if you've been with the Russ is Right channel for a long time, you know why I do this. For long-term storage during the winter months, or times that you're not going to be riding constantly, it's not a good idea to leave your batteries at 100%. It's actually better that you bring them down. So I typically use 75%. Now, how do you know if you're at 75%? I don't know. What I do is I look at the battery gauge. If it has a percentage thing on there, then that's what I use as my gauge. If it doesn't, if it has like 5 bars on the battery meter, I bring it down 1 bar. You see what I'm saying? And then that's what I leave it at to store. On the long run now, I'm beginning to think it's probably better to do that all the time anyway. Just leave them at the 75% level. And then the day of or the day before you plan to do a ride, then charge it up to 100%. Then you know you got fresh batteries. If your bike happens to drain your battery, like some of my bikes seem to drain the battery by themselves, then you'll be okay. Okay, let me push this button here. Right here. Now this is the thing I want eventually to see happen as we cross that thing. It's basically a signal to the drivers. It's blinking yellow lights on a couple of poles on both sides of the street to tell people that, hey, there's a bike rider there or a pedestrian there. Slow down and then stop and let these guys through, okay? I've been saying this for a while now, okay? Let's see if this goose moves out of my way. He opened his mouth and looked at me. I was waiting for him to honk at me, but he didn't. And so all it does is just tells them, hey, you know, yield to the pedestrians or yield to the bike riders. And that's all you need, you know. And if you have something like that, you know, you don't cross that until both sides stop. You wait until both sides actually stop their vehicles. And if they do, then you cross. So it's been years since we've had that. Many, many years, I guess. Even probably before I came into the area. But I've been riding this path now for the last 3 years, and I've noticed that, you know, there's a lot of people who cross there and they can't get across because the cars won't stop, and it's like 45 miles an hour down that zone. So I noticed just yesterday when I was out that they were measuring or doing something, maybe to see how many people actually cross through there and then whether it warrants having one of these stopping signs. So if they put it in there, I think it'll be a good thing. It'll save people's lives. I've been saying it for a long time now, and yeah, it looks like they're finally going to do something about it. So we'll cross through there again. We'll see it again when we come up there. They put like a big tall pole on a stop sign with some electronics underneath it. So maybe we'll see it by the end of the year. Now we're going to approach the hill test here, but I'm not going to do it. Our battery is down at this point. It's not fair to the bike to do it when the battery is low. But this bike, I think, went over to that hill over 15 something miles an hour. Yeah, it is actually the most torquiest. Is that a word? It's the torquiest bike we have. It goes over that hill with no problem. Anyways, there are people on the bike path here, so I'm not going to do a test. There's too many people out. So I'm noticing the leaves are down now. A lot of leaves on the ground. So things are starting to come down. Yeah, fall is upon us. When is the first day of fall? It's got to be soon. I would tend to think in a couple of days it should be, right? I don't know the actual date. You can Google it to find out. Yeah, this is where we do the hill test, but I'm not really giving it all it has, and I'm pedaling a little bit too. No, this is the toughest hill to climb in this area. We don't have a whole lot of hills like this. Yeah, it's very rare actually out in this area at least. So, but this is the one that we see people struggle. I've seen people get off their bike and walk it up. Not e-bikes, regular bikes, you know. Regular bikes, non-electric bikes. I do not call them acoustic bikes. You know how I feel about that. It's a misappropriation of the word acoustic. Acoustic means sound. It's sound related. Has nothing to do with the bike. I think people started using it because they said, well, there's electric guitars, there's acoustic guitars. So since there's electric bikes, that must be acoustic bikes. That's not true. That is not the proper word for it. Somehow it's grabbed on and a lot of people use that word, but yeah, you'll never see me refer to a non-electric bike as an acoustic bike. I really call it a non-electric bike. Sometimes you hear me say it's a regular bike. There's nothing regular about it. This is a regular bike too. Just happens to have a motor on it. And this is not a motorized vehicle. When they say no motorized vehicles allowed, what they're talking about on those cases is motorcycles, dirt bikes, that kind of thing, you know. Now, this is classified as a bicycle, even though it has a motor on it. People argue with you about it all the time, but no, that's not what they're talking about. Even got to the point where I had taken the regulations out on the forest preserves and saved it on my phone, so if anyone were to argue with me about it, I can always pull it up and say, let me show you the actual regulations here. To kind of shut them up. I'm allowed to ride on those trails, just like any regular bike is allowed to ride on it. The thing is, though, is they want you to ride on it they want you to ride on it under 15 miles an hour. That's the only stipulation that they have. They don't want you blasting through at 28 miles an hour, okay? And recently during the comments where I've asked people to tell the manufacturers what you want in a bike, there were some comments about, you know, It's the 28 is a little dangerous and all that. You know, the thing is, the 28 mile per hour is not for people to go blasting through the forest preserves at that rate. What they're basically asking you to do is to I'll make sure no one's turning right here. All right. Or turning left. I mean, if they turn left into me, then they slam into me. What they're asking you to do is if you're riding those roads, they want you to go at reasonable speeds, 15 miles and under, just like maybe many other bikes would do. That's all they're saying. But they're not saying that you can't ride your e-bike out there. All right. So I have the Deere 20 on here, but I didn't bring my tool bag again. I had it on another bike and forgot to take it off and bring it and put it over here. So let's hope we don't break down, that's all. You guys saw what I bring on my tool bag, right? I have a video out recently, probably within the last, what was it, last week or two? A video about what's in my tool bag. It's basically got a bunch of hex drivers, all right? It's got regular screwdrivers, wrench, pedal wrench. It's got an ear pump, and I use a compressor, by the way, portable air compressor. I don't hand pump these things. These big fat tires take a lot of air. I don't want to hand pump that. So yeah, it's got slime. It's not in my tires. I have too many tires, so I just bring the bottle with me. If I puncture a thing, then squeeze in the slime and rotate it around a little bit, and then pump it up and see if that'll take care of it. If it doesn't, then I just change out the inner tubes, patch it up, that is. I used to carry an inner tube with me, but then I have 20-inch tires, 26-inch tires, 27-inch tires. I mean, how many of these inner tubes am I going to take, right? So I figured I'll just bring a patch kit, But, after what happened to the original Deere, when I got that flat, I said, doing it on the road is really tough to do. I had a hard time even just getting the tire off. The tire was so tight on the rim, I had to buy special tire levers. I bring that too, that have a little bit of leverage, and metal tire levers. And it took so long to do it. I said, if it took me this long inside the house, how long would it take me in the hot sun? Man, I'd be dying out there sitting down and trying to get it to be done. So it might actually be better to call for help if you get a flat tire, especially a rear tire. But if you're in the middle of the forest preserve and nobody can get to you, you're going to have to do some repairs on your own, or you're stuck out there. Unless you want to push your flat tire bike a couple miles to get out of the forest preserve. So, anyway, in this area, people can still get to me if I called for help. As you can see, they have parking areas and the like out here. The only thing is I don't think Mrs. Wright has ever been out in this area. I don't think she'd ever be able to find me too easily. I do have the Find My function on my Apple phone, so she could always use that to find me. And there's another app that I use that could pinpoint you right down to exactly where you're at, and that's what's the name of that? My 3 Words, it's called. Look up My 3 Words. 3 is spelled out T-H-R-E-E. My 3 Words. Yeah, some of the law enforcement places use that too. What it is that it'll generate 3 words automatically for you, which pinpoints exactly where you are anywhere in the world. Like you could be in one part of the house, it'll be 3 different words. Like if you were in the bedroom and then you went to the family room, that's 3 different new words that's generated. So it'll tell the person within, I think, 10 feet of where you actually are. So what you do is you generate the My 3 Words, you send them a text with the My 3 Words, they open up their app of the My 3 Words, and they'll know exactly where you are. And like I said, law enforcement uses it too. They'll, you know, if you called 911 and you didn't know where you are, some of the 911 operators will say, I'm going to send you this thing, tell me what the 3 words you see, and if you can tell them what the 3 words are, they can send help. Yeah, it's kind of a cool app. It's free. Yeah, go check it out. All right, so now if we take a look across the street here, right by the stop sign, you're gonna see, let me reposition myself here. All right, you're gonna see right where this car is in front of us, a tall pole sticking up by the stop sign. And that pole underneath it has some electronics. And I think they're either measuring stuff or they're doing something. This guy's trying to pass it. He's upset that the other driver stopped, because the other driver stopped waiting for that other car to turn left and then stopped waiting for me to be able to cross. But of course, that other guy had to go around him on the shoulder, and then he looked at him. All right, this guy's let me through. Thank you. Yeah, right over here. You see this? Yeah, there's some electronics there. I think they're trying to measure how many people actually use this. Now, you see the guy that honked the other guy is the type of driver that will probably run you over and kill you. All right? He couldn't wait 2 seconds to let me through, because that guy had stopped, but he went around him on the shoulder. I don't know. This is why I said that intersection needed some type of thing for the pedestrians and for the bike riders, because somebody will get killed if they don't. So it looks like they're trying to do something. All right, they get me all riled up. No, we see too many times now people are getting hit on bikes, and then we saw too recently, I think a retired sheriff or somebody, a police chief or somebody, got purposely hit by a car. They literally ran him over. He's just riding his bike. I think he was out in Las Vegas or something, moved to Las Vegas, and then some kids came and purposely ran him over, laughing all the way. Yeah, I hope they throw the book at those kids. That's murder. That's not accidental. That's murder. That's intentional homicide. Yeah. There are crazy people in the world. I don't know why people do things to people. But the thing is, I've seen so much over my time in law enforcement, and I haven't worked that long in law enforcement, but even so, in the short time that I had worked in law enforcement, I've seen a lot. I've worked a lot of cases firsthand, you know, going to the homicide scenes and the like, and I've also worked a lot of cases that came to court when I worked at the DA's office. I've worked a lot of cases. So yeah, people do things to people you wouldn't believe. You would not believe how they do it and why they do it. Yeah, this is why I'm always a little weary of everything, I guess. The world would be so much better if people were kinder to everybody. Alright. I had to take my glasses off, my sunglasses, because something flew up against my sunglasses. I get a lot of bugs that just kind of rip into me sometimes. They just like fly right up into you. Couldn't get them off my sunglasses. Had to take my sunglasses off, put it back on. All right. Well, they haven't cut down these things yet. I think in time they're going to cut all this stuff down. To a certain point, they still leave some up because the deer and everything needs places to hide. And so I noticed, at least last year, they cut some of it back and then they leave some of it. Some of it they burn down too. They literally burn it down. They'll probably do that again this year. They did it like the last 2 years in a row. But I always wondered about the animals that can't get out when they burn it. I guess those guys get burned up. I mean, they can't gather every animal. Can't gather them all out before they set the fire. It's controlled burn. All right, well, today is a nice day when you're riding. Not so nice if you're just standing out here because of the humidity. Anyways, as you guys only see the forward view, I'm always looking side to side. You can't tell that because my microphone is attached to the visor of my helmet. And so as I turn my head, the position of the mic is always exactly the same distance and place compared to my mouth. So you can't tell that I'm actually looking around, but I'm always looking around everywhere. I'm looking left, right, all over the place. I look at the rear side view mirror. I keep my eyes open. And that's for a couple things. I want to make sure nothing's coming out from areas that I don't expect, you know. All right, we're going to have to slow down here. So we have some traffic coming in the opposite direction, so we cannot do a pass. Morning. Yeah, I'm looking at those picnic tables. It looks like they're having a picnic. Yeah, those guys got a picnic going on. Maybe we should go join them. Yeah, got any free food? No free food. Oh well. So we're out here riding around just for fun. No purpose other than just for fun. Anyways, this Deere 20, I have a suspension seat post. Suspension seat post. Full suspension in the back of this bike. I was thinking of the Ocelot Pro. I put a suspension seat post on the Ocelot Pro, but this bike has the full suspension. So there's suspension in the front and the suspension in the rear. And so if you hit a bump, yeah, it works out. Now somebody mentioned that some of these bikes don't have quite the suspension that they should. And what I thought about that, it's possible. I don't know. I'm the worst guy to ask. I'm a heavy guy. So when I hit a bump, I compress those springs pretty good. And they mentioned the Engwe, you know, with all the springs I have on that thing. The other riders have said it's not sufficient. I don't know. I really don't know because I weigh a lot more than most of these guys doing reviews, and so to me it feels perfectly fine. Let's go around. So I can't really tell if it's insufficient or it isn't. To me, it's perfectly fine. You guys are cutting down some tree stuff. Cutting down some trees, tree limbs, tree branches. So, you know, if you're a lighter weight rider, it could very well be that you can't tell that there's really much of a suspension going on because you're not compressing the springs as much. When you weigh as much as I do, you know, you hit a bump, yeah, you feel that compression. You feel the springs helping out. I'm feeling it right now. Bouncing around. There we go. Ooh, it feels good. And this is on the Deere Mini, right? Now known as the Deere 20. I think it's going to be really hard to get rid of that word Deere Mini. So many people are used to that word because that's what they originally called this bike. But they said, well, it really is a Deere. It's just 20 inch. That's true. It really is a Deere. It's just 20 inches. It's a step-through version. So if you looked at the 26-inch step-through bike and then you look at the 20-inch version of the step-through bike, they kind of look the same. It's just one's a little bit smaller. Now, Magicycle asked me if I would do a couple of video shorts for them. I've never done a video short before. I told them that. I said, I don't do video shorts. I don't do YouTube shorts. But I know they probably want to use it for advertising or something like that. So maybe I'll do 1 or 2 for them, just for them, since they give me so much stuff. But I don't think I will post it on YouTube. I may put it as a private video. They can copy it and then they can put it on their own Instagram ads or whatever they do with that stuff. Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Maybe you'll see me out there. And you know, the thing with video shorts is you do a vertical shot, right? Well, I'm a former photography guy. I shoot this type of scene horizontally. I don't shoot it vertically. I kind of figure if you're going to watch it on television, that's a horizontal format. That's not vertical. But the verticals started because people use their phone a lot and they look at their stuff on their phone and they hold it vertically. So vertical shots happen. But, you know, it doesn't show the whole scene of everything the way I would like to show it. So I never did them. Plus, the shorts to me were always kind of irritating. I don't know about you, but on YouTube, they kind of irritate me. They're too short to give me any type of information that I really want to know. It's just, usually it's just snippets. It's like they take an old video and they take a snippet out of that video, turn it vertical, and it becomes a video short. That, to me, that's irritating because I've seen that video before in its full glory. That maybe 30-minute long video that's now turned into like 45 seconds or whatever length of time they put it. And it's just a snippet. So the whole point of the shorts is to give you more exposure and let people who just watch like Instagram or other things like that, that gives them a chance to see you. And so it really is supposedly going to help the YouTuber. I don't think it helps the viewer much. Maybe it does. Maybe the guys who just look at their phone all the time, it helps those guys. They just want short information and they're holding their phone vertically. So I guess there's some purpose of it, but yeah, I never really got into it. So if you happen to see some from me on an ad for a Magicycle or something like that, it's only because I'm helping them out. Because they've been so generous to me over the years. So I should at least give something back to them, right? But I seriously doubt I will put it on my own YouTube channel. Kind of keep that stuff clean. Alright, I'm down to 47% on this battery already, because I've been throttling most of it. I have not been pedaling again as usual. And the thing is if I pedal, like I said, you're going to hear me huffing and puffing, and that's not fun. So I usually just throttle it through. Do I ever pedal? Yeah, I do. All right, let me stop for a second here. Let me take this text and I'll be right back. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. Somebody always said it was kind of funny when I switch out cameras or do something. I say, oh, I'm going to do this, sit tight. And then 2 seconds later, I'm back. Yeah, on an edit, it sounds like exactly like you didn't even leave. So anyway, yeah, I may do some shorts for them and let them utilize that for their advertising, whatever. All right, so now we're heading back, same way we came in. Not surprised. There's definitely a lot more people out on the trail today than some other days. Today is actually Thursday. You will see this on Friday. Yeah, I'm only usually a day ahead of you guys now. I used to like to be a day or two ahead of you. Just in case it rains or something, then at least I have a video ready. But I usually end up falling behind again. Then I'm just a day before you see it. Well, it's fresh then too. I kind of like that. I don't like having videos that have been recorded like 2-3 weeks out and then show it to you. But I do have one that has been recorded a couple weeks ago, and I'm just holding on to it to show it to you a little later. that's a special one, and that's why I'm holding on to it for a special occasion. So, yeah, take a look at the stop sign ahead here. You see all that electronic stuff down there? They're doing something. They're measuring something or doing something. So, all right, let's stop here. Make sure we don't get killed on the cars, because the cars won't stop. They'll just kind of keep going. So if we had that thing to here, let me turn here. Let me see if I can get the camera to show you. You guys see that thing? They're measuring something up that pole. Okay, I gotta go now before I can't go. Let's take this long route here. They're measuring something or doing something up there. I think they're just taking, trying to see how often people pass through this area. Come on, people. A lot of people pass through this area. They should just put that thing up there. Keep us all safe. I think last time I was out here, I had 4 or 5 deer that were all congregated on the path. And then when they saw me, they kind of stared at me and tried to decide, what's this guy gonna do? And when they saw that I was coming forward, they all scattered. They all started running for their lives. Deer are interesting, I think. They do stop and they look first. And if you don't do anything, they'll stay where they are. They won't run, they won't do anything. But the minute you do something that they think is threatening, then they'll start running. Going downhill at this point. Gotta have to ride the brakes a little bit. Otherwise they'll be coming down here way too fast. All right, let me take this text. Hold on. All right, I'm back. Yeah, sometimes you just have to take the text, you know what I'm saying? Mrs. Wright sends you a text, you stop and you answer that text. That's how it works. Let's go up this hill. Hey, climbing hills, no problem. Get right up over the top of those. All right, Mrs. Wright is asking me another question. Stop again. All right, I'm back. Up and down and up and down. All right. This whole section here was redone. So they have trails within the forest preserve that are not paved. I usually don't take it. This is where the shortcut is, by the way, on the left. I usually don't take those things. I prefer to be on the paved paths, so I don't go through it. Some people like it though. Some people like being on like a gravel, going through the forest preserves. It's okay. If that's what you like, that's okay too. Everyone does it a little different. There's nothing wrong with it. Anyways, the Deer 20 was the first bike that I saw that I needed to put the diagonal packing tape on the display screen so I can read it. I could see it perfectly fine now. You can probably see it too on the video. But before we did that, you couldn't even read that. Even on the video, couldn't see it either. So tape put on the diagonal seems to really help. So if you have that problem, try that yourself. You know, get some clear packing tape. Don't stick it down right away. Just kind of angle it at different angles with your sunglasses on, and then take a look. it might help you. And then stick it on very well, trim it off real good, and that's a quick fix. All right, so let's go back this way here. Push the button for the crossing. I don't usually come back through this way, but on occasion I do. There's no button for the crosswalk on this side. So the other day I had the Area 13 Blackbird, and you see as I'm kind of twisting and turning just to turn my my bike to face this direction, my foot is on the pedal, and so as I'm pushing down, maneuvering and pushing down a little bit, the torque sensor on that bike thinks I'm trying to push forward and is trying to turn on the motor. So I'm trying to back up, my foot is on the pedal to keep the bike steady, and the bike is pushing me forward. So I was really struggling with the bike. So if you have a torque sensor, get your foot off the pedal when you do that, or your torque sensor might do that to you too, where it'll just think that you want to push forward. I mean, that's the purpose of the torque sensor. These trucks are so noisy. It knows that you're pushing forward and pedaling forward, so then it starts giving you a pedal assist. But in that case, you don't want the pedal assist, you're just repositioning the bike. So anyway, just thought I'd throw that tidbit out for you. Now up ahead I have a truck in my way. Okay, he's moving, good. Slowing down here. Oh, and people have asked me why I'm on the sidewalk here. Well, this is the only way you can go to get to the path. So it is expected to be on here, as you see these people here. They expect that you will be taking this to get to this trail here. Yep, that's how it works. Yeah, some folks were asking me, how come your videos are so long? Well, some of us like it long, some of us don't. The thing is if your videos are really long, sometimes people won't even turn on the video. They say, oh, I don't have time to watch the whole thing. But I've always said, yeah, watch what you can. If you can only watch a half hour, watch a half hour. If you can only do 30 minutes, 20 minutes, do 20 minutes, whatever. So, so you do what you can, and if you can do the whole thing, you do the whole thing. Now, if you do partials and you turn us off, if you go back to that video again, like another day, it will start up where you left off. That's how YouTube works, okay, in case you didn't know that. So you could do it in segments. Nothing says you have to watch it all 1 hour at a time or whatever length of time the videos are. So that's the benefit of YouTube. Others have said too, you could watch me 2 times fast forwarding if you wanted to. Yeah, you could do that. Of course, I sound like a chipmunk at that point, but if you're okay with that, you could actually speed up the video too and watch it that way. That's possible. Personally, I like watching it with the regular voices and stuff, and so I'd rather, if I couldn't finish a video, I'd just kind of stop and then pick it up another day. And I appreciate those who watch the entire video. A friend of mine was saying he was shocked that so many people actually watch the entire thing, because it's so long. I go, well, yeah, well, some people like to watch it, and they hang out the whole time with me. Kind of took them by surprise. This is the hill test. We're on the top of the apex of the hill test. And I don't know if you can tell from this thing, but it's a big drop down here. So yeah, so coming down the hill, you got to ride your brakes a little bit, otherwise you're coming down way too fast. Get some hydraulic brakes. I've said this many times. If you have an option for a hydraulic brake versus mechanical brakes, pay the extra money to get the hydraulics. I think you'll be happier with it. Now, some have said that they don't go fast enough to warrant the hydraulic brakes. Well, I think even in some situations, having the ability to stop on a dime really makes a difference. So even if you don't think you need it, it's still safer if you had it. All right, we'll stop here. We got a car coming across. Well, they are stopping for me too because they got to stop as well. All right, I think we're good enough for today. Hey, if you like the video, go ahead and hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. I do appreciate each and every one of you guys watching the videos and keeping me company as I'm riding my bike. I'll talk to you guys next time.